Welcome to this week's episode. Today I have a very special guest. I have David Kahler with me. And for those of you who follow my channel, you may have seen 2 episodes ago, I posted a video around the autonomous video booth. And it turns out David is the creator of that autonomous video booth. If you have missed that episode, I will link it up in the corner. So you can put this on hold and watch it first to actually see what genius idea David had and actually made reality. So David, welcome to the show.
Yeah, thanks for having me.
It was almost creepy when I looked internally up of who built the autonomous video booth to see that we technically have the same initials. Like I think you're the first one I meet with the same initial, like DK.
That might be a first, yeah.
That doesn't happen that often at all. As you know, I'm a huge fan of what you've built here. What kind of made you come up with that idea? Like what triggered that, like, hey, let me build an autonomous video booth?
Yeah, so I was on the team that was working on the Windows Photos app at the time, and we were exploring the video space and specifically adding video editing to Windows 10. And so the team really wanted a way to make more videos so that they were more comfortable making videos, but they weren't really sure how to go about that. And so we decided to take over a focus room and load it with a bunch of just equipment that we borrowed from all over the place, and then come up with some really basic software for a hack week, basically, and sort of linked it all together. At the time, it was just a bunch of webcams and borrowed mics and a few random lights scattered about, and a big red button. And we just managed to link them together and then made a hacked version of the video editor in the Photos app to know how to deal with the content that this new creation spit out.
You just mentioned there's a lot of different components in it. So we have cameras, we have audio. We talked about the difficulty or the challenges in audio, the software piece that brings it all together. If you look back, what was one of the hardest challenges to solve for?
So definitely when you're working with a bunch of different off-the-shelf hardware that doesn't know anything about all the other stuff that's in the room, it is pretty challenging to take all of those different streams that are coming in and figure out how to make them work well with each other. So I went through a lot of different solutions for how to sync all the different cameras together, how to sync the microphone together. And actually that was an ongoing process over a number of years. Tried a number of different solutions and eventually got to the point where I had such direct control over the hardware that I could tell the streams to start at a very specific time and no longer really had to worry about syncing in post. But that as far as engineering challenges, that has definitely been the most challenging part of it.
Now, if you're looking at this and you're like, hey, I do synchronize and stuff and videos and it's easy, I like to remind you here we're talking about autonomously. This is not like you having your little track eSync, whatever, and you time code jam different cameras. This is a room where we just walked in, we scanned our badge, everything turns on, we make this recording and have it delivered. Nobody is touching the cameras, nobody is touching the audio recording or setting the levels. It's all automated, and once we walk out of here, the system will send me an email with a link to this recording. And so that's where the challenges came in. So it's not like you manually with your different manufacturing devices is actually creating the software that can do that automatically, consistently, so that people with zero knowledge can use it and produce quality content.
Yeah, we're also using all consumer hardware. So it's not like we have, fancy cinema cameras with link cables to each other that are syncing up their time codes. It's all just, very cost-effective stuff.
Yeah, I would say you can almost say most of the things you could buy in Best Buy. It's not like you said, this pro level, something that a TV studio necessarily is leveraging.
Yep.
So you built this. We talked a little bit about the challenges. What was, after this was done, you introduced it to the Microsoft world, like here's the autonomous video booth. Can you maybe mention one pleasant surprise that came out of this and maybe a less pleasant surprise?
As we were demoing this thing to lots of people, we didn't really realize what we had. We didn't know if we had something that was useful or how important it would be to people. And one of the great things that I heard over and over was people who were afraid to be on camera would come into the autonomous video booth and they would look at themselves on the monitor and they would say, wow, I look good. And it would take this person that originally, you know, they would never have made a video of themselves and turn them into a convert where now they want to come in and make videos because all of a sudden they're comfortable with how they look and how they sound.
I used to work in marketing, and one thing that often surprised me, but almost nobody ever believed, is like people that want to present but never did. Standing in front of a camera crew is kind of unique. It's even different than if you talk in a room in a meeting and you're presenting, or if you have 4 or 5 cameras pointed at you plus the crew, everybody's silent. You're literally the middle of the attention of everything. And I have seen it over again, even with great speakers where they need time to adjust to that feeling. And so actually I'm surprised to hear, I guess maybe because there's a lack of crew, it's just me and the equipment, that maybe lowers the burden a little bit, while I have in professional settings.
Yeah, there is
like
definitely, you're right, there's definitely something to not having a crew surrounding you. I mean, not only do we have a teleprompter for people who aren't comfortable just getting in and winging it, you know, they're not used to doing that sort of thing. But yeah, even again, during those demos, when I was showing it to people and someone wanted to make a video, I would say about half the time they would ask me to leave the room. Because even if they were making a throwaway video just to try out the booth or whatever, they did not want to do it in front of anybody. And so not having that crew there, that's huge.
And what would you say was like a unexpected, less pleasant surprise?
We've had a lot of people come into some booths and adjust the equipment to their liking. So that has been difficult to deal with at times, you know. People who want a different camera angle, want to be able to hold the mic instead of having it there up above them. Want a different camera zoom. Want a plant in the shot. Occasionally there are plants in the room that are just for decoration. They're not meant to be brought into the shot, but they'll bring it into the shot, and then the next person that comes by, I'll get a nastygram from them that's like, hey, this isn't set up how I was expecting it. Now my shot's ruined. I'm like, sorry, it was the last person that was in there. I don't know. What do you want me to do about it? I don't magically appear inside the booth and fix everything the moment people leave.
So you're not like the genie. I can rub the camera in here.
I mean,
magically you appear.
I mean, the booths do self tests every night, and they boot everything up. They send me a screenshot, and so I can tell like if a camera's pointing at the ceiling, and then, I have to decide if I'm going to come into campus and fix stuff that day.
I could see that. Now, we have talked just before the video briefly about it. Obviously, a lot of the brain of the booth is, intellectual property from Microsoft. You've done it here. But since we're not selling it commercially, if just somebody's watching this and says, hey, my company needs something like this, what would you say, like, of all the things I could focus on, I can focus or over-focus on equipment and tools or whatever, what would you say is like, if you would have a priority list, this is like the core of it all, make sure you have, or like you pay attention first to this?
So, I mean, learning a piece of software for recording is definitely important, and there's a lot of different options out there. I mean, I know that OBS, Open Broadcasting Software, I think it's called, is a popular one, although it does have a pretty steep learning curve. But there are plenty of other options to explore. As far as hardware goes, I would say audio is probably the most important thing. I mean, I would say you can even get by with cell phone video for the most part these days. Cell phone audio is a little trickier, Rode makes some decent, relatively inexpensive shotgun mics that are a good option, or lavs if you don't mind having something in the shot. That's a good option as well. That'll sound great and isn't too expensive. Then also just having a treatment for the room that you're in, or even a heavy blanket that is in front of you or around the mic so that you don't get a lot of reverb. People will watch video that is staticky, that is garbled, that doesn't look very good, that isn't lit very well. I don't recommend it, but people will watch it. They will absolutely not watch video that has audio static or pops or screeches, clipping, anything like that. So you really have to get the audio right.
Now, I'd like to ask everybody that I interview on my channel this question: if there will be a sandwich named the David Kahler sandwich, what would be inside that sandwich?
You know, I feel like everybody, I feel like a lot of people might answer this question with whatever their moms made them when they were young. And for me, that would be a cold meatloaf sandwich with mayonnaise.
Straight up. But now I have to ask, is the meatloaf thick cut or thin cut?
Oh, man. I would say thick cut.
Thick cut.
You know,
Okay.
nice and chewy.
Nice. Now I actually think I'm going to have to give it a try. This sounds like it could be delicious.
It is. Yeah.
So I hope you found this episode valuable. Again, David, thank you so much for being here.
Yeah.
If you have any questions, feel free. I mean, if you're a Microsoft employee, ping me internally or ping David directly, since he knows way more about this than I do. If you're external and you have any questions or comments, feel free to do so, and I'll try to either forward it to David here or answer it myself. Thank you.